Welcome to the Zompire Horde podcast. Join us every Monday, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, as your hosts, Vlad the Rad and Michelle of the Dead, discuss horror, true crime, and the macabre. Episodes available on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Join us, won't you? Hello, and hello, and hello. I am your host, Vlad the Rad, with my always amazing co-host, Michelle of the Dead. You did it right. I still did it wrong.
You got to do the opposite.
Yeah, okay.
We have a super special guest tonight. That is why we are not doing it on a Monday.
But hold on, we got to wait for him. So in the meantime, let's talk about tonight's box drop.
Oh, yes.
Since we're waiting on our guest. Tonight we had a box drop. I just had to throw this up on the bottom so people could see the web address to go purchase their box at.
It is a super exciting box this time.
It's got Beetlejuice.
Yes.
It's got The Dirt, which is based on Motley Crue.
Yes.
That movie, which was really amazing. Did you see that?
Yes. I've seen it a couple of times.
With MGK. And then there was Alphas. And I said Beetlejuice. I said Alphas. I said The Dirt. What's the and Thundercats.
Yeah, I used to watch that. I love Thundercats. Who is your favorite Thundercat?
There's 2 autographs, and the box is only $50, and you get 3 other items. It's pretty dope. Also, if you use code GRAPEAPE10, you save 10%.
What?
You see how I just turned this into a commercial?
I do see how you did that.
Oh, wait, we got comments. I'm sorry. I'm late on the comments.
No, that's totally okay.
Melissa says, yay, I didn't miss it. No, you didn't, Melissa. You were a day early, but we are here.
Well, we kind of had to reschedule a little bit a couple of times. We had a
couple scheduling conflicts, but we sorted it out.
Yep.
I would like to say, too, can you tell them what we're going to do on Monday? You have your very special guest coming on.
Yeah. I have a couple of good friends of mine who are making a show called Band Wars, and it's kind of like Jackass, but it's like musicians and artists who get together and they have like silly competitions, and so it's like different programs. Like they have like a demolition episode where they go and they just smash a bunch of cars. You'll have to head to the Band Wars website for that. You can see some previews of that. Super cool people. They both they're a couple, but they both sing in a band, different bands. In the rock and roll scene, into horror. Actually, both of them were a big part of making the Friday the 13th Vengeance Part 2 that I was a part of. Hikate was she had a small part, and she was amazing. And I think Ticker was a PA or something. He did a lot of everything. He did a lot of location scouting and finding the music for the soundtrack, stuff like that. So those guys are super, super cool. You're going to love them.
So it's basically, we're going to kick it with 2 badass dudes, about music and horror and all that stuff on Monday. Yeah. And then next Wednesday, we have Carl York. He's going to be on. If you don't know who Carl York is, he was an autograph we did feature in a box not that long ago. One of the monster boxes. He played Alan Yates in Cannibal Holocaust. He was also in Idle Hands. He played a chaperone at the dance, as well as Apollo 13, the old Tom Hanks film.
Nice.
So he'll be our guest next Wednesday. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about that.
Yes.
For anyone that's not aware, tonight we do have a guest. He's just a little bit late because of a video issue, but Ryan Francis, who played Darren in Thankskilling, the Thanksgiving horror comedy masterpiece, is going to be joining us, and he's actually here now, so let's just bring him on in. And here we go. Hey,
what's up, guys?
Ryan, how's it going, man?
Hey, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, man, we're stoked that you're coming on. If for anyone that doesn't remember, we did a box not that long ago where we had Thankskilling coffee mugs, and you were actually kind enough to reach out to us as a company and offer your autograph for that box. So that's kind of how we were able to connect.
Yeah, that was awesome. You don't see a whole lot of like Thankskilling stuff in the autograph world at all, because obviously
Right.
it's like it's one of those things where, you know, if you know about the movie, you're watching it every Thanksgiving, but like
Right.
if you don't know, you don't know, you know, and so
Absolutely.
you don't see a whole lot of it. So when I saw that, I was like, oh shoot, this is super cool. Yeah, let's hammer this out. Let's do this. So that was super cool. I appreciate you guys allowing me to be involved. That was rad.
Yeah, man. You know, kind of the meat and potatoes of our box is the autographs. And so when anytime we're, you know, we worked out something really cool with you where we were able to put them in a box and not actually charge people extra than what we would normally would for the box. And again, like you said, if you're one of those people that's like either you love Thanksgiving or you've really never heard of it and you watch it every year or you've never really seen it. And so yeah, it's definitely one that I watch every Thanksgiving.
Or you hate it, or you're like, what the hell? Why did you make me watch this pile of garbage? And you lose friendships and things like that.
It's kind of a little bit of both. I mean, I don't know. I think it's more of a tradition at this point. I made my daughter watch part of it with me today. She's like, "Okay, I'm going home now."
Fair response.
Well, I mean, when you think about holiday movies too, you know, we got I mean, Friday the 13th isn't technically a holiday, but you know, not it is now, right?
Yes, it
But, you know,
is.
we got Halloween covered. We got Silent Night, Deadly Night for Christmas. So we have all these like one, and then so Thanksgiving was kind of perfect to me because anyone that knows me and they hear me talking about my favorite movie, Texas 2, it has that horror and comedy element. And that's what I love about Thanksgiving. Like, I mean, what did they make it on? What, $3,500 budget?
Yeah, it was literally a college thesis project.
Right.
That's what it was. And the movie was just supposed to be shown to like a classroom full of college kids, and they were supposed to get a grade on it and call it a day. But Kevin and Jordan kind of went. They were like, you know what, we're going to put this movie out there and just kind of see what happens. And it was just one of those things where the timing was perfect because it was back when you guys obviously remember when Netflix did the DVDs, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it was they got it to Netflix when Netflix was just starting their streaming service, and they were accepting everything. So it was back at the time when if you had Netflix streaming, it was just a ton of garbage. Like they were accepting everything on there, and that's kind of what helped take it to where it ended up.
Well, and I read somewhere too that even for like the first year when they couldn't find anyone to put it out for them, they sold like 1,000 copies on like Amazon, and that was the extent of like what were able to do at that point. And now it's kind of like an underground phenom almost, you know, where there are people who celebrate it every year. Obviously, there's going to be naysayers because every community has to have a fucking gatekeeper, right?
Right.
But to me, it's perfect because, and I think maybe the thing I love about it the most is I grew up on the East Coast. And so turkey has the personality of every dude I ever knew in my life.
Oh no.
Not like the worst parts of turkey, but just like, some of the shit he would say. It just was like, that's fucking Al. I knew Al. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, that like the one-liners that they wrote for the turkey and everything. I mean, yeah, they're fantastic. They'll be solidified in time forever.
Yeah.
Gobble gobble, motherfucker.
Right. I mean, right there. You say that.
So I did have a question for you because one of the things I read about the movie was that there was actually no deleted scenes. Everything was actually used in the movie except for I believe it's like a dream sequence or a flashback sequence when you're running through a cornfield, when Darren's running through a cornfield, which I'm sure we're not going to get like a director's cut anytime soon. What was the scene? Were you running backwards naked in the cornfield? Like, what was going on?
Oh my God. This is the first time anyone's ever asked me about that.
I like Thankskilling.
Oh my God. I actually have to think about this one. Because I think that we filmed that. I think that we kind of filmed that for, it was for the Billy and Darren montage that happens, like when Billy's death happens, like they're kind of doing all those silly things. And I think that there was a point where they did have me running through a cornfield for some reason. I honestly can't answer it. I don't remember. I don't remember. A lot has happened since that movie's been made. A
Well,
lot
that's
of
like
brain cells have died. So I don't really remember the cornfield in detail.
you guys filmed that about 15 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was we filmed it it was about 15 years ago, because I remember it got sat on for a long time. And like all the actors, we were all just kind of like, we just kind of forgot about it, because we thought, college thesis project, like, oh, they're just going to show it to, whatever.
Right.
But it was in their hands, and we all owned a copy at that point. So it was just kind of like, okay, well, we got our copy and we're cool. Like, no big deal. We made this movie. So I think the official release date was it was like 2008. I think
Okay.
2008 or 2009 is when it officially came out.
I read 2006, 2007, and 2008.
Yeah, it's all over the place, because I think 2006 we kind of filmed it then, and they put it together so quick. I think that we got like screeners and everything that were put together around that time. And in 2007 we probably had a full final copy, and a premiere happened around that time. I think the premiere may have happened like at the end of 2006 at a small theater in Columbus, Ohio, and then after that it was like dead silence for the longest time. And the longest time, like just a couple of years, nothing crazy.
So since we have you here, I'd also like to know what officially happened to the Thankskilling 2 tape.
Okay, so you don't know?
Inform me.
Okay, so I have to be very careful here, because have you seen Thankskilling 3?
Yes.
Okay, so
this was a setup question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously, just like the ET Atari game, right?
Right.
Like, just like the ET Atari game, the U.S. government was like, screw this. We're going to take this movie so bad, we're going to destroy all these copies. They had one copy left, and so the whole premise of Thankskilling 3 was keeping that last tape of Thankskilling 2
alive.
I've been begging Jordan and Kevin to go back and do Thankskilling 2.
I think it would be rad, like
in space. I want them to do another, like, I mean, they're really focused. They've made some really great movies since then. I don't know if you guys have seen the Head.
I've seen a trailer for it, but I haven't watched it yet. I haven't found it.
It's incredible. Like, they're doing really great work, and I think the whole low budget thing. Yeah, I mean, these guys are working in Los Angeles, working on really great projects. So I can't speak for them, but I would have to imagine it's got to be very hard to want to go back to, not even a micro budget kind of thing, and throwing something together for the fans, rather than progressing and making bigger and better things. Because with bigger and better things comes bigger and better. Oh, The Headhunter. That's what the official title is called.
The Headhunter.
The Headhunter is what the latest one was. It's incredible. It's about this Viking. Yeah, it's nuts. It's just a crazy movie, and shot beautifully.
As soon as you said Viking, I was sold. I'll probably end up watching.
It's so good. But yeah, I'm hoping that one day we'll be able to see the long lost Thankskilling 2 tape.
Well, and I also read too, didn't they at one point open it up to allow fans, because they wanted to see like 20 Thanksgivings. They wanted one to come out every year, and they even invited fans like, hey, make a fucking Thanksgiving, we'll oversee it. So any of you filmmakers out there who like to do the remakes or whatever, the fan films, like, let's get on that. I'm in.
Yeah, and Jordan is just so big into giving back to students, like with the help, with his knowledge, and helping with distribution and all that stuff, helping to make the movie and things like that. He ever since Thankskilling came out, he really wanted to kind of partner with other students and kind of give back to the community and say, hey, I'll work with you if you want to do one of these things. I have no idea what it looked like in his email inbox after that was pitched multiple times, but we haven't seen anything come to fruition from that, which is super unfortunate, because that would be so cool to see, some micro budget films kind of come out, along the same premise. But
to keep that college artwork, the college aspect of it alive, you know what I mean? Keeping it low budget like that, and allowing, young filmmakers to take an established story and embellish on it,
Yeah, like I hate to compare genres because not genres, but different different film sets. But like you look at all these franchises that have 20 movies in the franchise. Look at the Puppet Masters, look at the Leprechauns and stuff. And it's not totally far-fetched just to say, hey, college kids, like go out and make your movie. We'll oversee it. And if we really like your idea, we'll help you finish it and put it out, because you can just continue to tack on to that franchise as time moves forward. And the fans are going to like what they like, and they're going to not like what they don't like, period. But you can continue to tack on to that. I mean, if Leprechaun can stay alive this long, if Puppet Master can stay alive this long,
right.
I mean, shoot, how many Evil Bong movies do they have now? Like, what an insane idea. And people love that stuff. Movies, people like, I caught so much flack, Thanksgiving's so shitty, blah, blah, blah. Like, or you can watch any movie and go like, oh, this is so shitty. But the beauty about entertainment is like, that's entertaining to a lot of people is watching a shitty movie, and like you're entertained by that. That's the whole point.
It's
like,
amusing.
Yeah, and watch something terrible. The Room is great. What is it? Birdemic. Terrible movies, but they're fantastic. So much fun. So it's like there's a huge demographic for these types of movies. It's wild. So I hope to see more of the franchise. One little known fact is have you familiarized yourself yet with Thankskilling the musical?
So I've heard of it. Okay. I know it exists. And I feel like there was actually some pretty famous people involved with it, if I remember correctly, what I did read, but I didn't get too into it because I didn't know. I just haven't, I'm sure it's hilarious. It sounds like it would be great.
It's better than the movie. It's insane. It was written by two guys, Jeff Thompson and David Eck. Jeff Thompson's a pretty big name on like in the Broadway scene in New York, and David Eck, if you were a 90s child and watched Clarissa Explains It All, he was the bully that like kind of wanted to date Clarissa in a few episodes. He wasn't a recurring character or anything, but he came back a few times, but wasn't an every episode kind of character. But they wrote this musical, and the soundtrack by itself, you can find the soundtrack on Amazon, you can find it on YouTube. When you listen to some of these songs, like JonBenet Ramsey has a song.
Oh my God.
It takes the movie and escalates it and makes it way more offensive. Like they had like the turkey scene with Allie the slut. Like, I mean, that happens, and JonBenet Ramsey starts dancing around in a tutu on stage.
Oh my God.
Allie has a song about her being a slut. It's nuts. It's
oh my God.
Is that something that's on DVD or like Blu-ray or whatever?
No, unfortunately, it's not. I think that there is, if you go on YouTube, I think that there is a cell phone shot video of Thankskilling the musical when it was in New York, like an off-Broadway show. Okay. So you can see it and get a good idea. But it's if you ever see it come into town, because I mean I know that they still have the rights available and any theater can book it. If that's something to get involved with, and if you even had money to push into it, I brought it to Columbus and played Darren the Nerd, and we did 2 full weekends, sold out every show. We sold out every show. It was nuts. People flew in from out of state to come to it. It was wild, but every city that it hits, it sells out every time. It's nuts.
I wonder, like, on like how grand of a scale it is to pull that off, because it seems like with as many horror conventions that happen, like there's that would be a great opportunity to do something like that if there was a theater close, or depending on like a lot of the hotels have like ballroom style rooms and everything, to do something like that at conventions, because you got a built-in audience, right? So I mean, like that's something that I would think about, like trying. That's what I want to try and do.
And it works out perfectly that way. The musical aspect, I mean, I did theater and stuff when I was younger. So it takes a lot of work. I mean, you've got to get your actors, and you have to have people who can sing really well too. So it can't just be a passion project just because like, oh, I want to get some people together, like a low budget movie. Like it's made for very talented, like people who can actually sing and hold notes, harmonies, all this stuff. And if you can get a crew like that together in a city and give yourself, a couple months, I mean, the props are super low. You do have to, the guy who made the original turkey, Troy Smith, one of the biggest things in the contract when you pick it up, you have to get it's a huge turkey mask that's over your head for turkey, and he makes it. So it's like OG, like it's a legitimate prop. But otherwise, I mean, you're using blocks, like it's really just kind of like you're making, like the teenagers are driving in a car, but there's no car. There's nothing that looks like a car. They're just kind of like, you just know that they're driving a car, sitting in a couple chairs, so there's not a whole lot of props. It's just a lot of fun, but it is a great idea, Vlad, to kind of have like after a con, prep ahead of time. They have those cons booked years in advance, so you already know what those dates look like. So it's just a matter of getting a crew together, holding auditions, and
pulling it off.
That's it. It's not terribly hard, but
yeah,
a little bit harder than grabbing like 10 people who want to make a dumb movie with little to no talent.
Well, I was going to ask you, before you played in Thankskilling, were you like a horror guy, or were you just in school with these dudes and they were like, hey, be in our movie? And, it kind of sprouted from there, from playing Darren,
Yeah. No, Jordan and I actually went to high school together. And he was a good buddy of mine, and we shared a passion for like really terrible horror movies. It feels so weird, like talking about, 2002, 2003, like, oh yeah, we would go to the, $5, 5 nights, 5 VHS tape video place. You would get any movie at the rental store, and we'd come back with like 10 movies a piece, and we'd watch them all weekend, like Chopping Mall or, Troll, like all these just really bad movies. And we would watch them, and it was when he ended up going to school at Loyola Marymount in LA. I applied and I did not get in because I was not as good of a student as Jordan. And so I ended up going to the Ohio University here in Columbus. And he ended up finishing doing the video production stuff. And I was sick of that shit. So he came back and was like, dude, I've got this college thesis. Here's a script. We were sitting at a donut shop, and he threw the script that said Thankskilling down at me, and I just started laughing my ass off. I'm like, what? And I read this thing. I said, holy shit, this is gold, dude. This is so dumb. Like, the turkey is such a dickhead. Like, so dumb. And then he asked, he's like, well, I want you to play the nerd guy. I was like, yeah, dude, you don't even have to ask. Like, yes, I'll pay you to be the nerd guy. I don't care. Like, let's do this. Let's film it. And that's pretty much what happened. It was like we locked down a cast within 3 days and shot. And I think that we shot over a span of 2.5 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, just every day. Bam, 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 bam. It was
for anyone that doesn't know too, you were actually the drummer for an all-girl punk band, but all girl except for you, called Overrated. And actually I think when they're in the Jeep, aren't you guys playing on the radio?
Yeah, yeah, and that was, I mean, when you think about, making a movie when you're that young and you don't want to pay any bands for rights, it's like, well, shit, I'm in a band, and I put
I'm already in the movie. Let me get some extra fucking push.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and so and there was another local band at the time called Krynos or something like that. Their name was, I can't remember their name. It was kind of dumb, but they got. They had some radio play on there too at some point, or some background music. And fun fact, you probably know this with all the research you've done on the movie, but at the very end of the movie, the Thankskilling theme song plays, and that's by General Bastard, who played the old hick, the old man.
Right.
Oh.
And fun fact, when Overrated was on tour. He's from Detroit. We hooked up with him and brought him to Columbus. He gave us a show in Detroit. We played at this venue. The only reason I remember it is because it was the very first venue that Iggy Pop ever played their first show at. So it was like no one was at this point. I mean, you're some no name in a punk band playing in Detroit where no one knows you. You're playing to the two people drinking at the bar. But you're just so happy. You're like playing drums, like, dude, like Iggy Pop was on the stage. Like, this is their first show. This is cool. But we got to be good friends, and we didn't have someone for that role. And I just remember General Bastard, which is how that's what we called the guy all the time, because that was his stage name. And we always called him the General. And when I read that part, I'm like, I know the perfect fucking guy to play this role. And he just showed up as is. Like, I mean, when you see the guy in the movie, like that's
where he was.
That's him.
Wow.
That's awesome. Well, obviously you've done other stuff outside of Thankskilling, right? So I'm going to ask you about some work that you've done, and I need clarification because these aren't things that I've seen, but I feel like the names are movies I want to see.
Oh boy.
So you've acted, I believe you're also the producer in the Biker Warrior Babes versus Zombie Babies from Hell. Is that how it goes?
Yep, Biker Warrior Babe versus the Zombie Babies from Hell. That is it.
There it is.
That is it.
So tell me, so you acted and also helped produce this, correct? Or
yes.
You were the producer?
Yep.
So where I need background. I need what's going on with Biker Warrior Babe.
Yeah, so that was something that kind of happened after Thankskilling. There was a guy named Jeremiah who ran a goth, kind of like a goth shop in our local mall, the Indian Mound Mall. And I remember, when I was a teen in Overrated, we had our CDs, all pressed. I remember like walking around, 14, 15 years old, handing out CDs at the mall. And I walked into his shop and he's like, hey man, would you like to put some of those in my case and I'll sell them for you? And I was just like, holy crap, like this guy's like willing to sell like our CD. This guy's so nice. He's so nice.
We're signed.
Showed up like 2 months later. He's like, I sold all your CDs, man, and handed me $15. And I wanted to cry. It's like my first time being paid really for music.
That's awesome.
It was super overwhelming to me at that time. And fast forward, 10 years at that point. Well, 8 years, something like that. Fast forward, and he comes to me with a script. He's like, I wrote this script, The Biker Warrior Babe versus the Zombie Babies from Hell. I wrote this like 15 years ago, and I really want to do it. And I don't know. I've just been sitting on it, and here's the script. And I read the script, and it's like, it's fun. It's good. Let's do it. I don't even care. We can film it. We can film it. Like, if
I was in Thankskilling, I'm pretty sure the Biker Warrior Babe is going to be all right.
Exactly. And at that point, like Thankskilling had a name at this point. And I told him, I'm like, dude, if we could do Thankskilling, I saw what they did there. I had been to school for, doing video stuff. I'm like, dude, let's do this. I said, I will set aside my life and we're going to film this movie. And so that's pretty much what happened.
Nice.
For better or for worse. Lots of sound issues, lots of post-production issues. I mean, issues all around. There were lots of crazy stuff, gnarly stuff with that movie. It had there's a lot of people that like it, a lot of people that hate it, same kind of thing. It just didn't catch. I had the conversation with Jeremiah multiple times. I'm like, dude, if you're going to be investing your own money into this movie, you need to understand that you've got a 50-50 shot here. It's either going to catch or it's not. Like, it's either going to take that loop and escalate and go crazy and people are going to watch it all the time, or it's not. And nothing's really going to happen with it. And the latter happened, which is, pretty typical. It didn't catch that fire, but it's there. It's out. It's available. You can watch it many places.
Do I need a synopsis, or is pretty much the title going to tell me exactly what I'm getting?
The title really gives the whole thing away. Biker Babe. Biker Babe is the only one who can stop the world from being dominated by these zombie babies that have come up from a curse from hell that a witch cast on on an
right.
individual. So Lloyd Kaufman is in it. That's the kind of the claim to fame with that.
There you go.
Just my buddy Grape Ape, who helps me out with Zompire, just got me a Lloyd Kaufman signed Toxic Crusaders action figure at a con he was at.
Oh, that's super rad, man. Lloyd he is one of the coolest people. I mean, dude, that guy he walks the walk, talks the talk, and has his entire life. Like that guy is awesome. He's done so many things for the horror genre and just for actors in general. I mean, he's done so much.
And one of the autographs we featured in our early days was actually Mark Torgel. He signed for us, like I think it was within our first 6 months we were doing boxes. And actually, him and I have been talking about him coming on the podcast too. Shortly, like as soon as it's a scheduling thing, but he's planning on coming on as well. And that dude's so funny, man. I love Mark Torgel.
I haven't really followed him too much, but now that you brought up the name, I'm like, I need to find his Instagram or something to follow that guy.
Yeah, he's in my Facebook friends. He had people as friends, and he did a movie recently or not that long ago called Toxic Tutu.
Oh yes. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's been a minute. That's been a while. I think I remember when that was being filmed.
But yeah, so one of the things I was going to ask you about actually, because you produced something called the Mothman of Point Pleasant.
Yes.
Right? So I grew up in Toms River, New Jersey.
Oh shoot. Okay.
Over the bridge is Seaside Heights. Next to Seaside Heights is Point Pleasant, but there could have been somewhere else called Point Pleasant. So I wasn't sure if that was the same Point Pleasant or not. But since we were talking about Lloyd Kaufman, growing up in New Jersey,
yeah,
I was a big Troma ECW, like that. That was my little niche up there. So
you were there at the right time, I think.
Oh yeah. We moved. So I was born in '77. In 1990, I moved from North Miami Beach, Florida, to Toms River, New Jersey. So I was there at Seaside Heights, in there in the early '90s, and I would bounce back and forth between there and my dad's house in Baltimore City.
Okay.
Downtown Baltimore. So that until 2000, that was like my little jump off was in there, which was a perfect time.
No, that's awesome, dude. I can't even imagine like the ECW days, man. Oh, that's just like that's wild. But the Point Pleasant, it's West Virginia, where the Mothman Bridge. So like people would say like they drive across this bridge and they'd see this Mothman, and they're like, there's this whole thing about that. And there's literally like a museum like across this bridge that you can go to that talks about the Mothman and all of its history. I had briefly worked for this company called oh shoot, the name's escaping me right now. But it was a friend of mine who started this company, distribution company. Essentially, they would approach filmmakers, independent filmmakers, and they would help them pitch their film to distribution companies to get the movie on multiple platforms and get deals signed. Kind of one of those things where like the film, like stuff the filmmaker could do if they had the appropriate contacts or knew who to approach and things like that.
Right.
But what we would do is we'd kind of step in as the middleman and say, hey, you're going to pay us percentages of whatever you get when this thing gets rented by folks, like whatever you make per month, we'll take a percentage of that, but we'll do all this work for you. And we're going to tell you exactly what you need to meet the quality, to meet the quality specifications of what Amazon needs, what Apple needs, et cetera. And we kind of help gear them up for success. That was the first and last film that I picked up myself. And I was just like, dude, that is a wild game when you're doing that kind of work.
I would imagine.
Too many. Obviously you're dealing with more like numbers, profit margins, and all that shit. And I hated having to tell like, when you're having to tell a creative, like have that real conversation, like, dude, we're picking up your film because we pick up, like 60 films. We make money because we pick up 60 films. But to have that conversation with you, like, dude, your film's really not going to make dick because you're promoting it, but you're promoting it to like your friends and family.
Right.
There's always that possibility that it goes viral and something goes nuts. But the business that I was in was we're taking a bunch of movies, putting them all out. And so the odds of something actually going viral and doing well, it was to our benefit.
Well, one of the other movies I did want to ask you about, based on title alone, and Michelle's going to like this one. It's called Saturday Night Pillow Fights.
Yes.
in which you play, I believe, a referee, correct?
Yeah. So
Oh my God.
Saturday Night Pillow Fights was one of the most bizarre projects I've ever been involved in. And I've got a Taylor Hawkins story with this one.
Okay.
And it was incredible. But yeah, Saturday Night Pillow Fights was essentially like a choreographed, WWE kind of thing, but it was with like, women all dressed in their own attire, scantily clad attire, different kinds of lingerie sets or leather, tops and bottoms. And we would have a choreographed fight, and I'd referee those fights, and we shot it in a steel cage that they used for MMA and stuff. It was a lot of fun. Chuck Lamb, who played Sheriff Rout in Thankskilling, was actually one of the announcers on that.
Awesome.
And he was fantastic at it. If you can find a copy, I don't even know where you can get a copy anymore, but if you can find a copy, it's hilarious. That film, I think the runtime was maybe 45 minutes or an hour. It was very short. But that film led to me getting a gig refereeing stripper pillow fights at the local strip club, Columbus Gold. So I did that for like 2 or 3 nights. And this one night, like the place was pretty much empty. And these two, like I remember it was the first match of the night. I come out in my stripes, and these two girls came out with pillows, but I swear to God, to this day, there was some beef. Like I know for a fact there had to be some beef.
They had a real not like
they dropped the pillows and they were like going at it. And I'm trying to kind of like break it up, like tops are off and like that. And I'm like trying to like, guys, this is a little too real. Like, and the ring was super small. I mean, super small. Like you could take maybe 2 full-length steps one way, and then that's it. So like it was very, very small. It was extremely hard to get down on your belly to do a 3 count or anything. Like I was on my knees doing a 3 count. Behind me, I hear these guys like out of nowhere. There was this group of people, and they're like, "Ref, get him, ref! Take him apart! Yeah, you tell him, ref!" And they're just like hooting and hollering at me, and I'm just like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, just talking shit. Like, they were just talking shit about the ref the whole time. Like, what the fuck? And I turn around, and there's fucking Foo Fighters, fucking Dave Grohl. Like, they're all just sitting over there. They were on tour with Rise Against, and they had just finished their show in Columbus. And so
that's awesome.
This was their stop after the show. And I was like, oh my God, we get done with the fights and everything. And, I'm in the stripper dressing room, which that was, I mean, wild being in the stripper dressing room. And I'm like patting my face off, drying off. It's so hot out on the floor.
My eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh God, I'm going to need to take 5 showers after this. And then I go out, and I was like super grateful. One of our producers of the show tried to get the Foo Fighters to come down and do a picture with all of us, but they all said no. But Taylor Hawkins, the tour manager was like, Taylor will do this, but I swear to God, if any of you fucking share this photograph on Facebook, I will find you and I will kill your fucking mothers, all of you. I will kill them. Because it's a strip, they're in a strip club, right? So like,
right.
He probably should have taken the photo anyway, but he did. And so I was like, oh dude, I got a photo hanging out with Taylor Hawkins at a strip club after like a very aggressive threat from the tour manager.
You brought up the sheriff from Thankskilling, and I just wanted to point out one of my favorite scenes is Turkey and him sitting at the table, because it's just so awkward. I felt like Turkey was like waiting for the girl he's gonna go on a date with, getting ready upstairs, and like had to deal with the dad for a minute. It was like one of those kind of like back and forth, you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. The whole cast was present for that scene. We were shooting on the property that house was on. I think it was Jordan's dad's house.
Gotcha.
And we were all there for that scene. It was kind of early in the evening, like 6, 7 o'clock. It was dark. And they had run through the lines. I'll never forget. They ran through the lines a couple of times, and then Chuck was just like, fuck it. I want to do the next take. I want to fucking do it. Like, I just fuck the lines. Let's just go. Roll with me. And Jordan's the voice of the puppet.
Right.
So he's the voice of Turkey. So he's down there doing the Turkey lines, and now he's off script with Chuck. And Chuck has experience doing movies and this. And if you've ever met Chuck, if you ever meet him, he is just one of the funniest people you'll ever talk to. He's super personable. He just starts going off script and saying the funniest fucking shit. And when the movie was released, they used that scene is all impromptu. It was all
nice.
The whole thing, like that whole thing was not. That was not scripted.
I did like the little
This wasn't
homage.
planned, but it was better.
I did like the little homage to Leatherface when he was wearing the skin face, because there was a couple little trinkets in there. Like Turkey was kind of a Freddy Krueger-esque character, had a lot with the one-liners and everything. Then there was the Leatherface mask. There was a couple little hints to show like homage or respect to the the 80s era slashers, which I appreciated.
Did you catch my Nightmare on Elm Street 3 homage in Thankskilling? It was where I had this idea. This wasn't in the script, and I was just like, you know what? I want to do this because Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is one of my favorite horror movies, and it was one of my favorite death scenes in the film. And they agreed to do it, and they actually put it in the final flick. It was when the turkey mounts Darren and pulls out his tongue, and the tongue stretches, exponentially stretches, like comedically stretches.
Yeah.
And I love that scene when the dude's making out with the nurse, and it's actually Freddy, and he's got his tongue all
yeah.
So he on the fly, like I think that we used like a condom. We used a condom and pulled it with like a bunch of fake blood and stuff, and he just pulled the thing until it broke.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Well, let's talk about what you're doing currently. I'm gonna probably butcher this name. Is it because I'm gonna go with like how I think Donald Trump would say it? Huge.
Yeah, very close. Yeah, huge. So my middle name's Eugene.
Right.
So Eugene.
Fair.
So huge Eugene, huge. I just take off the "een."
And while I'm pronouncing it, when I was saying it in my head, I'm like, huge.
Everyone got. I wrote a song about it. There's a song that I have called 3 First Names because my name's Ryan Eugene Francis, and I always talk shit. Like my parents gave me 3 first names because a lot of people get shit on with 2 first names. So like,
I just remembered before I forget this. I cannot forget this because Josh wanted me to ask you. He is on the East Coast too, and so he goes to bed early at night. He lives actually in Ohio near you.
Yeah, he's up in Stallone. Him and I chatted a little bit before.
He wanted me to ask you about going to the Alamo and looking for Pee Wee Herman's bike.
Dude, yeah. So
I do want to talk about Huge Euge, but before I forgot, I was like, oh, I got to ask him, and I just remembered through this whole conversation. So
it's a good segue. It's a good segue.
Okay.
So
perfect.
So you brought up I was in Overrated. I was the drummer for Overrated for a while when college happened. Then we called it quits. We played a lot of really big shows. We did a lot of really awesome things. Did a couple Warped Tours and Riot Fest and all these super fun things. And once the band quit, it was kind of one of those, do I really want to start another band after I've done all this shit and start over? Like, nah, I really don't. And then you're living in an apartment. So you can't really take your drums and practice them when you're living, that apartment life. So I was like, well, I can rap. I mean, I can't rap, but I can make beats and stuff, and I can rhyme words.
I'm gonna disagree with you because what's the kitty rap?
Oh, Callie the cat.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and disagree with you. That's I like that song.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you.
If you don't like that song, you're fucking wrong. And I don't need you in my life. You're a toxic motherfucker. You're just putting it out there right now. You don't like Ryan Francis? Fuck you.
Thanks, man.
All right, well, go ahead.
But yes, I mean, so I wrote like 6 songs, and I played these same 6 songs for years and years and years. It was more of a hobby, and right when the pandemic hit, I was like, you know what? I actually really enjoy writing. It's a good creative outlet. Pandemic time happened, everything was shit, and so it kind of gave me a really good outlet, which is where I wrote my latest EP, which is the Bad Rapper EP, which Callie the Cat's on that. So I wrote and recorded that during the pandemic, and it turned out a lot better than what I was expecting. I was super stoked on it. And now I'm pushing it really hard. I'm currently writing a new record right now. This year has been ape shit with shows. So when I had the opportunity to go to Texas to perform during South by Southwest for a showcase called Nerdcore Days down in Austin, Texas, which was fucking amazing.
There's a live recording of that on YouTube, correct? Is that what I watched?
Yeah, I think there's probably a few at this point. There's probably a few. There's a music video that Mateo Galina did for Callie the Cat. There's a music video up.
That I've seen that, but I think the Nerdcore Days, I think that your whole set is available on YouTube. So if
you can kind of get an idea of what that live set looks like on YouTube for sure. But we were down. I was there with my DJ and best friend JJL2 John Lavelle, and he was like, "Dude, if there's one thing I want to do because we're going to be in Austin, I want to go to San Antonio, and we're going to go to the fucking Alamo and ask where the basement is." And I'm like, "Let's fucking go. Let's do it. All right." So we literally did that. Because we had a show that day. We had 4 days. We were there like 4 days, 4 shows. Like it was jam packed. I mean, we were working 13, 14-hour days when we were down there. So it was a very aggressive scheduling. But we went super early. We got down to San Antonio, beat all the traffic, literally walked up to the Alamo, started walking around. We took some pictures, and then we walked around the back. And I swear to God, as soon as we walked to the back, there was this old man with a fucking white handlebar mustache cowboy hat. And he's like, "Well, that wraps it up for the tour. Anyone have any questions?" And like our heart, like we were like, "Oh my God, it's time. It's like
we've been waiting our whole lives for this moment."
Right. We've waited forever. And we just walked in on this. And John, like I pull out my camera. John just shoots up his hand and he just goes, "Sir, can you tell us where the basement is?" And everybody laughed. We got some scowls. And the man was just like not impressed. He's like, "Are you talking about that Pee Wee Herman thing?" and then he appropriately answered our question by saying there are 2 basements at the Alamo, one below the gift shop and one behind this building here. And that was it. But that was like a one-time thing. Like we got to do it. We said it. All right, cool.
Well, and I thought that there may be a link because your last name Francis is actually the name of Mark Holton's character who did steal Pee Wee's bike. So I was waiting for that tie-in, but I still like it.
Yeah, we did not tie in the Francis with the Francis. So I actually had I've been chatting with Mark Holton for quite some time now. He finally got a social media he's super responsive on his Instagram. So if anyone's watching this who's a Pee Wee fan, like, yes, hit up Mark Holton on Instagram. He will totally hit you back.
So listen to this, and I've told this story before, so anyone who's heard it can mute me for a minute, but we actually featured him in our box.
Oh, nice.
We were the very first ones that ever put him in a mystery box. And my mom passed away, I think it was like almost 2 years ago. Oh, September will be 2 years. And I'm at her like day of celebration or whatever they call it, not like the funeral, but that sort of thing. And my phone rings and it's just an awkward number. And I'm like, hello. And he's like, and when you talk to Mark, you know who he is immediately when you hear his voice because it's so unique, and so he's like, "Hey, this is Mark Holton. I'm looking to talk to Vladimir." And I'm like, because it's the first one that ever just randomly called me. I got friends that I call and I talk to, but like just randomly to just call me. It was like, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear about your mom." I'm like, "No, it's okay, man. This is like the coolest thing. Like, I feel really just like really brighten my day up, And he was super sweet, super awesome. And the whole time I was talking to him, he was trying to sell me on Leprechaun because he knew that we did horror, but we also have a true crime theme box. And I was like, "Dude, you played fucking John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah.
And I need those. That's what I want." And so he did. He signed Gacy prints for us. And then he sent me one that's for me because I told him how big of a fan I was. Teen Wolf and all that. So
yeah.
He wrote to Vladimir, "A clown can get away with murder for a long time. Like, love Uncle John." And then like it's on my wall, right? I'm looking at it right now.
That's awesome.
So, yeah,
that's so
I was really
cute.
excited. Like he's such a cool human being, man.
Yeah. He's super nice, and I've been such a huge Pee Wee fan. There's actually I did song about Pee-wee's Big Adventure with JJL2. We have one
Nice.
recorded on the Three First Names EP. So that's up if you wanted to hear that. But that's huge fans of that entire franchise. I love it.
So with Huge, do you travel much when you do shows, or are you doing a lot of like local stuff currently? Or I mean, I know you did South by Southwest, but like, have you gone on like an East Coast tour or anything like that?
Not yet, but because I really started getting, it was more of a hobby for like the past, I spent 10 years just doing it for shits and giggles, just because I was like, just no confidence in myself to really put anything out that was worthwhile. And once I started really focusing on writing, better material and, working with producers that put out really good beats, putting in, investing in the craft and going to a good studio to record. Now I'm like, yeah, it's go time. I'm on May 20th, it's a Friday here in Columbus. I'm performing a sold out show with Comedic Cody from TikTok. This dude's got like 4.2 million followers on TikTok, and I'm opening the show. I'm like, okay, let's do it, man. Like, let's go. And there's like festivals. I've got festivals all over Ohio. So yeah, I'm working really hard on the new album, and I really want to see how well that turns out. And I think that come 2023, I think that's going to be when I'm tour ready now, but I'll definitely be ready to tour next year.
Well, shit. Hopefully, you can make it up to Seattle, man. I'd love to come see you guys, come see you perform.
Hell yeah!
Oh yeah. Like I like my dream. Like obviously, you want to start slow, kind of do a Midwest thing. I think I see like a nice week and a half kind of tour, and then just do it hitting a 2-week East Coast and a 2-week West Coast is just so easy. Like you literally can start south and move your way up, and then you got your 2 weeks covered right there. So I hopefully there's going to be some time for that in the next couple of years for sure.
When I used to work for Trustkill Records, and we did a lot of like hardcore bands, and so
dude, Trustkill?
Yeah, the first.
I remember that name.
They were like it's like Buried Alive was on their label.
Okay, yeah. Oh my
god. But the first tour I went on was a West Coast 2-week tour.
Okay.
And then like literally came home, and like a month later went on a 2-month US tour that basically outlined the entire US. And it was like going from like, and you do the 2-week tour, you're just like, okay, this is what it is. And then you're on that like big ass tour, and you're like, fuck, I'm tired.
Right.
You gotta like baby step your way up to that fucking 2-month,
Right. Well, I mean, it you have to do what financially makes sense. It sounds nice to go on that tour, but when you've had experience on the road as an independent artist, you're wasting your own fucking money by going on a tour, because you're playing 14, 15 venues with no one there. So what the hell's the point if no one's there? You have to be smart about it and find a tour partner that can draw. Find someone who's going to headline and go as support. You got to do it right.
And be able to invest in merch because that's really where you make a lot of your money at. It's not necessarily at the club. I mean, unless you're like an established act who's got like a writer and contracts and like, you know what I mean? Like you're drawing a couple hundred people or whatever. Like it's kind of hard. You make a lot of your money just like I said, on your merch and stuff like that, selling CDs and shit,
Exactly.
And that money, you have to invest into that. It's not like anyone's going to give you, 15 dozen shirts, 500 CDs, so I definitely get it.
And that's thankfully where I'm at. I've got enough merch to tour with right now, so I'm holding it. I got it. And it's selling really well right now for all these local shows. So it's actually perfect for this year. So by next year, I'll be able to actually reinvest in new merch for the new album and actually get a rebuff for some new stuff. So
I want to see a kitty shirt. If you get a kitty shirt out, I'm in.
I actually thought you were talking about the metal band Kitty for a split second. I'm like, dude, I want a kitty shirt too.
Like, and maybe a kitty or two. Well, Ryan, man, we really, really appreciate you taking the time to come on and talking to everybody and giving us, some background to Thankskilling, which again, one of my favorite holiday movies, certainly my favorite Thanksgiving themed holiday movies. Where was it? I was going to look for it. I have Poltergeist over here. I was going to throw it across the room, but but no, we truly appreciate it. I will add links to your music and your merch store onto the YouTube video once we're done here. That way we can help direct some of these people your way.
Awesome. No, thank you guys for having me, Michelle. It's been a pleasure. Vlad, really appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Absolutely, man.
Thanks for coming. A lot of fun.
All right, Michelle, you stick around. We're gonna close this out. Thank you, Ryan, man. Again, stay up, buddy.
Thank you.
I cut him off.
That was a lot of fun.
I feel like a jerk.
Why?
He was saying something and I cut him out.
Oh.
But well, awesome. We're gonna be back live Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific time.
Our regular time.
And then we do have a show next Wednesday at 7 p.m.
We might just even have to go to twice a week. I mean, I don't know. Let's see.
I mean, as long as we got people coming in, sure, why not?
I mean, why not? It's helping promote other people. I think that's a good thing.
Absolutely. Well, it was super fun being here with you, Michelle of the Dead.
It was super fun being with you.
And I hope that everything goes well for you tomorrow.
Thank you. I will text you when I'm done, let you know.
And once again, guys, thanks for tuning in. Go get your April Pulse boxes available at ZompireStoreNV.com.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Welcome to the Zompire Horde Podcast. Join us every Monday, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, as your hosts, Vlad the Rad and Michelle of the Dead, discuss horror, true crime, and the macabre. Episodes available on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Join us, won't you?